bringing me in, letting me have the opportunity to speak to you guys. And thank you guys for being willing to listen. So today, I'm going to tell you my story. I'm not going to tell you about basketball. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you my journey. I'm going to tell you about a time in my life where I was scared. It was a time of struggle. A time that I didn't think I would get out. And you see, I love sharing my story because it gives me the opportunity to be open and connect with other people and share this story. So my journey starts when I was 12 years old. I really thought that I had everything in the world. I was a good athlete, good student. I had friends, a loving family. I really thought that I had everything I could ever need. But overnight, after I came back from a camping trip, something changed. I wasn't myself anymore. All of a sudden, I just felt sick. I had flu-like symptoms. I was tired, achy. My joints hurt. My ankles, knees, hips, back. Every time that I moved. I was once happy and energetic, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. All of my friends, teammates, coaches, and teachers saw this. They knew something was wrong. But I started to fight through those symptoms the best that I could. And it was in the summer between my 6th and 7th grade when I was playing baseball, the sport that I loved the most. And I hit a single up the middle during one of my games. And I fell to the ground screaming because my back locked up. It felt like somebody took a knife and stuck it in my back and was turning it around. It was in that moment that I knew I couldn't hide these symptoms anymore. And it was also in that moment that I knew something was wrong. Not too long after that, I couldn't play baseball anymore. When I started 7th grade, I wasn't the student I used to be. I wasn't able to pay attention in class, and my memory was faulty. I couldn't remember what the teacher was saying long enough to write it down on paper. I used to love reading, and at that point in my life, when I started reading the page, all the words looked scrambled like they were written in a different language that I didn't understand. Something was wrong. And it was during that time that I started to question who I was. I mean, I wasn't an athlete anymore, I couldn't play sports, and I continued to get worse and worse. The worst part of it now was that I wasn't playing sports. So anytime I wasn't in school, I was sleeping. I couldn't function academically, and I ended up failing out of school. I was on medical leave. And it was during a time for about 6 months at the end of 7th grade that I was in bed for 20 hours a day. I would sleep from 10 p.m. one night to 6 p.m. the next night. I started losing track of the days. And during that time, I would only get out of bed to go to the bathroom. And I would walk maybe 10 steps at a time. And you guys know from working out that if you don't use your muscles, they start to atrophy. And only taking those 10 steps a day became more and more harder and harder. To the point that I would have to sleep on the bathroom floor. And my parents would have to help me up to go back to bed. We were desperate for an answer. I'd gone to over 50 doctors. I'd gone to Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine. No one had an idea what was wrong with me. And then finally, they ran another blood test, and it came back positive for Lyme disease, an infectious disease transmitted by ticks. And then I thought back to 2 years before when I came back from a camping trip, and I pulled a tick off of me that bit me in the back of the head. But you see, because it bit me in the back of the head, the Lyme went into my brain and my spinal cord. They did a brain scan, and there were 7 lesions in my brain, areas of my brain that had been deteriorated by Lyme disease. Doctors called this irreparable damage. Doctors told me that I would never go to school or play sports again. I was reading at a 1st grade level. I lost the ability to write. And you see, at that time I took those doctors' words as truth for me. I said, yes, because I've been out of school for 6 months, and because I haven't been able to do all the things that I want to do, and because you say it's true, I won't be anything. And I really thought that I would be in bed for the rest of my life. But there came a time that I made a decision that I didn't want to live that way anymore, that I didn't want to be in bed. You see, because at that time I'd lost everything that I thought I was. Before, I defined myself as an athlete, a student, a friend. And at this point, I wasn't an athlete, I wasn't going to school, and none of my friends would talk to me anymore. So I decided I was going to fight. I went headfirst and started doing Lyme disease treatment. And the thing for Lyme disease treatment is that for every month of undiagnosed Lyme disease, a patient needs 2 months of antibiotics. And I'd gone undiagnosed for 26 months. I was in for a 5.5-year battle that I wasn't sure I was ready to fight. But I did what I could every day to get better. I had one doctor that told me that if the more that I moved, the better I would feel. So I believed in him because he was the only one that believed in me. So as I continued in my treatment, I took those 10 steps and I made it 11 and 12. Every day I tried. See, I didn't say every day I succeeded. Every day I put my best effort forward. There were days I failed, there were days I fell, but I got back up. I started going to physical therapy to learn to walk, learn to do stairs, balance. And after about a month, I was able to walk 100 steps. I was able to walk to the mailbox. About 3 months later, I was able to walk up and down the street. 6 months later, I started to run again. And I continued with that treatment, and those irreparable lesions that the doctors told would not go away with my brain went away. It was the hardest time of my life and the biggest thing that I've ever overcome. But then a year later, I went back to school full time. 2 years later, I went to high school. 5 years later, I went to college. 6 years later, I published a book called Fighting for My Life. Because I realized that I wasn't fighting for my life to save it. I was fighting for my life to live it. I was fighting for my identity. I was fighting for who I wanted to be. I wasn't going to let those doctors' words define me. And now, 8 years later, I'm running track here at Bridgewater State. So you see, the thing is, other people's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. You just have to know who you want to be and where you want to go and take steps every day to get there. And know that it won't happen overnight. It took me 8 years to get here. And I'm still getting better. But what I'll leave you guys with is that I've seen you guys practice. And I've seen you guys play. You guys play hard. You're a team. You work together. So the biggest thing you can do is be grateful in times of struggle. When things aren't going your way, think about all of the coaches, the teammates, the friends, parents, everyone who's supported you to get you to this point. 3%, guys. 3% of high school athletes play in college, and I'd say that's probably less for basketball. You guys made it. And in times of success, be overflowing. Pick up your teammates. And no matter what, always remember that you just have to keep moving forward. Thank you guys for your time.